There's the 460 that's in here. I've got a 6AL, the new MSD digital ignition system here. Red top Ultima. So we can't blame the Ultima this time. Or Optima. It was definitely the alternator not turning. MSD coil. Performer, not the air gap and not the RPM, but just a performer intake. Some performer heads from Edelbrock. The headers I think are, I want to say Sanderson, I can't remember. They were the only ones that built some that fit. Radiator that we had sitting around. This is actually from the Lincoln that had a 460 in it before. Fit off of there. A lot of these parts are from Lincoln. Power steering's an F-150 unit. Air conditioner from the Lincoln as well. Power brakes. Yeah, that's about it. I just changed the fan out for a better thermal style. And nothing else too snazzy under here. Thanks, guys. Take care. So here's a ride in a 1966 F100. It's got a 7.5 liter or a 460 big block with a light cam on it and a few extra parts. Got a 325 rear end that's limited slip, and it's a nice cold day. This morning coming to work, 0 degrees. Now it's about 17, so it's warming up. Occasionally have to use a little starting fluid when it's cold. Luckily today I didn't after work. Here's a little ride along and see what it's like. I've already actually had it running for about 7 or 8 minutes, trying to bring the water temperature up so it would idle. And now we're at that point. So here's what it's like. Everything's cold and tight. Cables don't like to move as much. Transmission cable included. A little tough getting it down in the first gear. Wipers don't like to move when it's this cold. miles to the gallon. With a 16-gallon fuel cell, that only gets me at a little over 100 something miles before I need to fill up. We've finished getting some oil here at Walmart. Here's a few of the hassles that I have. Got a guess on how much throttle to give it for how cold it is. Just give it ever so slightly bit. Come on. So yeah, I flooded it. Normally it doesn't take this long. And the hassle. In the warm weather, doesn't take long at all. All right, do it the old-fashioned way. About 5-foot dump a few weeks ago. It poured rain, washed it all away, dried out, got freezing cold. Kind of been there since. Things that don't normally freeze over have frozen, like that channel earlier in the video. But luckily houses are built for it, so you don't get too many freezing pipe issues or anything like that. As I pull into the gas station, I'm going to do a no-no and leave it running because of obvious reasons. I plan on going home soon instead of sitting out in the cold. Handle lights do work. 1.729 gallons, $54. So on a dead E today. She's 13 gallons, and the fuel tank, probably due to the cold weather, says that I'm not quite half full right now. Normally reads normal. It goes all the way to full, but the cold weather's got it feeling a little bad. But sitting here, stationary's got my heat warmed up nice. I've got a large, I think it's a 3-flue radiator, but it's a fairly large one. And it cools much too easy up here. So it's hard for me to stay at temperature sometimes if I don't stop and let it gain a little bit. Here. This is the local Juneau Mall, sort of. Super Bear supermarket, Sears outlet store, and a Napa Auto Parts, liquor store, cleaners. It's about as good as it gets, right? Fishtail out of there. Across the street, there's not much going on over here, and do a little playing around so you can see what she'll do when she puts her mind to it. Hopefully I don't break anything. And hopefully nobody gets mad. Transmission's shifting a little nicer. Wheels are hopping with this limited slip action going on. Go down the first gear. Smoke back there. Tires warmed up a little bit. Super Street Fighter. There's 3 main tiers. The transmission they make, the standard one, rebuilt, and then the Street Fighter, and then the Super Street Fighter. That's for the Ford C6 that's in here. And they're like within $80 or $100 of price range of each other, so why not get the biggest one you can get? I've got close to 400 horsepower on a good day at sea level with 93 octane. All the time and it can handle. Up here I'm on 91, so I've backed off a couple degrees on timing, and it just doesn't like to run as good in this cold weather, so I don't think I've got quite the horsepower. Maybe 350, maybe less, 340, 330. I think it was probably about 380 before originally, 380, 390. Not originally, but the way I've got it set up. This is actually the second motor that's been in this truck. We got one from somebody who said, hey, have our motor. It's good to go. Been rebuilt and everything. And we put it in, tested it out, dynoed it. 350 horsepower, 440 foot-pounds. Ran it for about 1,000 miles. Had some kind of blocked oil passage or something, and chewed up my cam journal bearings and the cams themselves, and where the lifters contact. It just chewed them to pieces. Didn't look like the original cam had been rubbed off so bad. So this engine's new-ish, maybe 1,500 to 1,800 miles on it, which is better than the last one. Had it built in Humble, Texas, which is northeast Houston, by Slater's Auto Works. They did a good job. It's actually a crate motor, a base crate motor that would have been for maybe an RV or something. A little funny idle going on here. I don't know what that is. Unless well, that's just weird. Let me get out to the street. Another one of these issues going on. It says I've got no fuel. Feels like I've got no fuel. So, the deduction is I don't have fuel because I don't have spark and I don't have much else. I don't think my alternator's charging my battery. First problem I've had like this for 1,800 miles, or really maybe 2,800 miles, I guess, on two engines. Haven't had any charging issues. So maybe the batteries, either the cells are dying or the alternator's not charging the battery. My wife's coming to give me a jump. And this has been quite an eventful time. Not normally this much issue, but you've got it on camera, so that's fun. And hope you guys enjoyed the film. I don't think I'm going to film anymore. So it was the problem. It's the alternator not charging. A few seconds on some jumper cables, and she's back on the old barn there. I'll have to figure that problem out some other day. So, I don't know how well you can see, I don't have a great light, but came home today, did a few things, changed the oil in the Subaru over here to check for a few things. It's working great. And for my charging issue, well, you know, thinking alternator, something like that. But there's the problem right there. Doesn't work very well without a belt. So I kind of figured that was the problem. So I was thinking to myself, you know, I haven't heard my normal belt squeal when I rev the engine, as it tends to do, and thought maybe with